everyone, welcome. My name is Vera. I'm a London-based nature-inspired abstract artist. Thank you so much for joining me this week as part of my weekly series of videos called Dispatches from the Art Studios. It's a weekly series of vlogs that I've started in 2018 where I hope to show you a little bit about my life as an artist, the artwork that I'm currently working on, my influences and inspirations, and also just behind the scenes peeks of what my life is and what I'm doing these days. So this week I'm here in my back garden in Wandsworth, and I'm just trying to remind myself that it is actually spring. If you're in London or maybe in other parts of Europe as well, you also might have been hit a little bit by the beast from the east, as they say. Unseasonably cold weather recently. We've had a lot of snow and it's been crazy cold, and frankly a lot of the spring flowers, which thought it was spring and they came out, they've sadly been a bit damaged from all the snow and the ice and the below freezing temperatures. But thankfully, my spring flowers, you can see some of the collection I have in the back. I've got lots of hellebores. I adore hellebores. I've got lots of daffodils, and out in the front garden I have some snowdrops as well, and some primroses and primulas. I think those more or less have survived. If I do look at other parts of the garden though, I think some of the more tropical plants that I mistakenly sort of left out thinking that they'd be protected and they'd be okay, I don't think they've survived as much. But I suppose it's the nature of the game, and it's the nature of gardening, I suppose, that there's always this constant movement of plants and what they're doing, and are they surviving, are they thriving, and you're constantly moving them around and trying to get the best out of the plants and to make sure they're most happy. In terms of the spring season, I suppose, you know that I did a video a while back talking about daffodils, and I adore daffodils. They're incredibly joyful, and they're such a happy yellow sunny color, and particularly this time of year when it's been long and gray and wintry and rainy and windy, a pop of color is really, really appreciated. The past couple of months, in addition to daffodils, I've really been sort of falling back in love with hellebores. Hellebores in lots of parts of the world, including Eastern Europe, including Bulgaria, where I was originally born and grew up and spent my childhood there. Hellebores there are seen very much like a wildflower that you just see in the woods. You see in the woods and in the parks walking around. They're normally just the sort of green, the lime green color of the flowers, and they're beautiful, but they're not particularly seen as an ornamental flower, if you wish. Like I say, they're sort of seen as more of a wild, natural wood flower. And then when I moved to the UK, in the US, hellebores are not particularly a thing. I think maybe because hellebores are more of sort of temperate climate, more of a European climate. But then when I moved to the UK, I realized that hellebores here are actually hugely appreciated plants, and they can be extremely ornamental. There's a huge amount of different varieties. There's purple ones, white ones. You can see the selection behind me. Like I said, I adore hellebores. And it's just really interesting, again, to me as a plant lover and as a gardener, to see how different plants are treated in different parts of the world. In the UK, for example, there is such a thing called the Hellebore Appreciation Society. You might think that's crazy, but part of me thinks I really should become a member because I love hellebores. And then there's parts of the world which I've never heard of that plant. There's parts of the world where it's considered almost like a woodland flower that you wouldn't necessarily sort of look at twice, really. And I suppose part of that led me to really think about hellebores, I suppose, as emblematic of how different cultures can put different symbolism on the exact same thing. In some cultures it means one thing, like in Bulgaria, for example, it meant the arrival of spring, because they are really the first wood flowers, first woodland flowers that you see when spring arrives. That's their symbolism. And the name of Bulgarian, kukuriak, it sort of implies almost like a rooster type of call. So again, there is that spring awakening, that waking up aspect to the name itself, to the common name, obviously not the Latin name itself. Whereas here, like I said, they're much more ornamental plants, and definitely I belong to a few sort of society, Facebook type gardening societies, and lots of people just absolutely adore hellebores. So in my case, I also started doing a bit of a side project. It's not really meant to be anything other than just making me appreciate flowers a bit more, I suppose. But you can see some of the images behind me on my laptop. Basically, over the past few weeks, I've been collecting images of hellebores, photographs that I take around the neighborhood in different parks, my own garden. Hopefully we'll make it to my mother-in-law's garden because she also has a few hellebores in the Isle of Wight. But like I say, just different parks, different places, and it's amazing to me how much varieties there is. And that is one of the things that for me as a plant lover and as an artist who's massively inspired by nature, that's one of the things that always I come back to. The variety, the diversity, that even within one species of flower you can have so many different colors and textures and patterns. And in the case of hellebores as well, one single flower can change its how it looks quite dramatically, whether it's just opening out, whether the seed pods have formed, whether they've fallen into the ground. Once they've formed, it can look dramatically different. It looks like an entirely different flower, like an entirely different blossom. So that's where we are this week. Like I say, it's spring, thankfully for now, although apparently this weekend, tomorrow, it's meant to go back to below freezing temperatures with some snow, which I'm having a really hard time believing, and I'm slightly scared about, if I'm honest. I'm really ready for spring. It's been a long, difficult winter, so hopefully you're also seeing the first signs of spring and you're enjoying the spring season, and whether it's through flowers or whether it's through other ways to mark the spring season, I hope that you're enjoying it as well. So thank you so much for joining me this week. If you want to connect with me in real life, you can always make an appointment with me at the Wimbledon Art Studios. And actually, we have our big semi-annual event coming up in mid-May. It's 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. I think it's May 10th to the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. It's a huge event, tons of artists, lots to come and see. If you do visit, I'm in the Blue Building, Studio 310 on the first floor. I'd love to see you and say hello. Or if you prefer to connect with me online, I always have my website and my online gallery as well, my e-commerce shop, veraonthewall.com. Or if you prefer social media, whether you love your Facebook and Instagram or even sort of Pinterest and YouTube and Twitter, I'm on all those platforms, and my handle is always Vera on the Wall. So thank you very much for joining me this week. Whatever you are, whatever you're doing, I do hope that you're enjoying the spring season and that you're finding your own little sort of symbol of spring that you can hang on to and that can bring you joy during this sort of time of transition away from winter and into spring. So thank you so much for joining me again this week. See you next time. Bye.